uncle, my aunt. Welcome to a powerful conversation. We have Yasir Hotep. Of course, you have Anika Osaze, and I am Jabari Osaze. We're coming to you live. We want to talk to you about an amazing experience that you can be part of this weekend. We are going to be partnering with Yasir Hotep and Yoga Skills. We're going to be in Chicago for the Reconstructing the African in Mind series. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be amazing. Yasir, you want to talk a bit about what folks should expect, and then we'll go a little bit deeper in?
Well, first, happy to have this inaugural historic event at the Yoga Skills Studio in Chicago. This would be our first lecture of the new studio in Bronzeville, which is a historic African American or Black area of Chicago. Okay, and so this is very significant. Whenever I'm in New York, I try to do things in Harlem. Okay, and so Bronzeville, which is where I live, where I'm at right this moment, is the historical area of Chicago, historical Black area of Chicago. And so, so Jabari and Anika, they have consented to come and, be part of our grand opening, which has been going on for some time. So this Saturday, May 20, what is it, 27th?
I believe it's 28th.
May 28th, okay. Saturday, May 28th from 1 o'clock until about 4:30, 5 o'clock. Both Jabari and Anika will be coming to do a lecture series on reconstructing the African mind, reestablishing our consciousness, bringing us back from the brink of destruction and restoring us back to our original self. Okay, so the lecture series is going to be starting at 1 o'clock on Saturday, and then on Sunday we're going to have a tour of the ancient Egyptians part of the Oriental Institute, which is a museum at the University of Chicago. Okay, and so we're going to be they have different sections, but we're going to be focused on the Kemetic section, the ancient Egyptian section of that museum, and to get both lectures and the tour on Sunday is going to cost $95, and so I hope everybody can come. And if you can't come, you can also see it via Zoom. So we're going to stream it. So if you're not in Chicago, you can't make it to Chicago, you can participate in the two lectures on Zoom. I don't think we're going to do the tour on Zoom, but we would definitely stream the two lectures, once people make their purchase. So I encourage everybody, no matter where you are, to participate. If you are a certified Kemetic yoga teacher or any type of certified instructor, you can get CEUs if you're registered with the Yoga Alliance. So because we're going to be talking about things that are related in the sense of history and philosophy of ancient Kemet. And Kemetic yoga, of course, emerges out of that ancient culture from which civilization comes. So, it's going to be, so you have opportunity to get practical skills, to learn a lot of things about, in terms of the origins of civilization, which includes the yoga that we practice, as well as many other insights. And Dr. Anika is going to be lecturing on the great Black women, great African women of antiquity, and the role, the fundamental role that women play in the creation and the continuation of civilization. So we can't have nothing. We can't have no civilization without women. If it wasn't for a woman whose name was Aset, everything would have been, everything would have been a disaster. So so really was the woman who saved the day. And so we give credit to our sisters. So she's going to talk about those things, and so we're going to have a really good time. We're going to have a really good, fun time and informative time and restorative time. We're going to have food there that'll be provided by Chef Earl King, who's going to be providing some live raw food that you all can purchase from him. That'll be nourishing to your mind and your body. Okay. So I hope that was a good introduction, Jabari.
I think so.
We're going to talk about Jabari's lecture.
Yes. My lecture actually is going to be on the African origins of civilization.
Right.
And, it's an extremely popular lecture. It actually describes how Africans not just gave humanity to the world, how the first human beings were African, but it also describes how Africans gave all of those markers of modern civilization to the world. And we're talking about everything from mathematics to engineering to architecture to spirituality to science to medicine. And so that lecture, I believe, will truly begin to set the record straight so that we truly understand what it means to be an African. And I'm really looking forward to presenting that lecture.
Yeah. And I'm excited to do my lecture because a lot of what I'm going to discuss, you would not learn in school in any place on this earth. Most people don't want to talk about the contributions of great African women. They don't look at the different roles that we played, where we were not just nurturers and home care providers, but we were also some of the first doctors, some of the first astrologers, some of the first writers. There's some of the first warriors. Some of us ruled as kings and queens. So, it's really important that we get this information out there to the population, because it's something that your children aren't learning now. And I want to make sure that you can teach this to your children and continue the story and the legacy so that more people will know where we came from and how great we are.
Mm-hmm.
And we will also be bringing materials with us. So people who want to share items with family members who can't be there or friends, we'll have books, we'll have CDs, DVDs, all kinds of products that you might be interested in partaking in. So be ready.
Yes. And speaking of that, our brother Jabari, he is the author of a book called 7 Little White Lies, or big old giant white lies that they tell all the time. And so that book is going to be available for you to purchase firsthand and get it autographed by the master teacher Jabari Osaze. And do you got a book, Anika?
Actually, my book is on its way. I might be taking some pre-orders. It'll be ready in June. So okay. I can always take a list from people who are ready to purchase and have them shipped if people are interested. And my book is actually an anthology. I wrote it with about 14 of the women. So it's 15 authors in the same book talking about what I would tell my younger self. So it's pretty much what wisdom would you have imparted, knowing what you know now, to your teenage self or your middle school self, to try to grow and develop into the person that you are today.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's a very powerful concept, to look back at yourself and take an inventory of who you are now compared to who you used to be, and what information did you not know that you know now that has served you well, and that has actually changed the trajectory of your life, and then imparting that to younger people so that they don't have to be figuring this out on their own or figuring out through hit and miss, but actually know it from the from the wisdom of a person who has been through it.
Mm-hmm. And my story will be how I evolved into what I consider to be a person of African descent. Many of us didn't know what that meant when we were growing up, and it wasn't embraced, it wasn't nurtured. Many people were trying to run away from what it meant to be African. A lot of students, when I was in school, used to make fun of Africans and make fun of names that sounded African and would shame you if you wanted to have any connection with the continent. So a lot of that played out in my development and the struggles that I went through going through school until I finally became more comfortable in my own skin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's every time you say something, it just makes me think about all of these different ideas, because of the fact that we are in such a denial of our Africanicity, right? We claim that we're all these different races. We claim that we're descended from all these different groups of people. We claim that we never even was in Africa, that our ancestors never even came from Africa, and we make up all these fantastic stories about where we come from, and to actually admit that we're African is part of this restoration process, restoring ourselves and reconstructing our consciousness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's a powerful topic. I'm looking forward to when the book is actually out. It's complete. She's just waiting for the printing, the final printing. So that should be amazing to be able to have access to it and to have folks to be able to take a look at it, right? To read it. I think that's really important. And I know that she's excited about it, right?
I am. This is one of my first books, and I'm starting slow. It's not just my authorship. I decided to go in with a couple of other people to help with the writing process, and then eventually I will be able to write my own full document. But I just wanted to at least start by getting some information out there that I thought was important for people to know. And it's personal. It's a little bit about who I was as young Anika, and it'll give you a glimpse into why I am and what I do today, and why I'm so passionate about our people and what I feel we need to do for the future.
Yeah, well, you have definitely been a powerful force, in our community. You've been a powerful force in the organizations that you all have with the Center for the Restoration of Ma'at. You've been a powerful force in the African Genesis movement, and before that, the Desert Club, and taking thousands and thousands of young people to Africa and helping your husband to become a great man that he is today. You have made a tremendous contribution to him and support, and not to say he's not already great in his own right, but you support that. You make that. You make the sisters. They make the male stronger. They make us go to the next level. We be out of balance, and I know you all teach that too. Because I know even Jabari, when we go on tour, we go to the different museums, or we go to Kemet, and he talks about the symmetry between the statues of the male and the female in Kemet when they're sitting together, and what the symbolism of the subtlety, the subtle symbolism that's there, that talks about the equality and also the support that the women provides for the male. And I hope you talk about some of that in your lecture.
Well,
will you be covering it in your lecture? Where I know we're going to talk about it is when we do the museum tour at the Oriental Institute.
Yes.
That is where it'll definitely come up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I truly believe I don't want to jump to Sunday and talk about the tour, but I have to say to you folks, I'm excited because it's been years since we've come to Chicago to do the tour of the Oriental Institute. The first time I went to the Oriental Institute, I actually went with obviously my brother Yasir Hotep, and we just had a ball. I mean, and I just started talking, and Yasir said, "Wait a minute, man, let's record this." And he started recording. It was not meant to be a video for public consumption. We just started recording, and that video has been seen by hundreds of people because when you're with people that are that you're close to, that also are your not only just your brother, but your brother in the tradition, your brother in study, it just comes out. And so we've always had a good time. It's been a while since we've been to Chicago.
Yeah.
And so I know that it's going to be a really interesting, engaging event. So if you are anywhere near Chicago, you better not miss it. And you had better be ready to live stream the lectures, at least if you're not near Chicago.
And you know, we always have a great time with Yasir. He's our best friend in the world. And we travel with him. He's going to be with us in Kemet and Ghana again this year. So you have a massive trio if you travel with us. You have the linguist, you have the historian, you have the yoga master. Where else can you get all three all in one? You know, we're dealing with mind, body, and spirit when we get there. So it's really important for you to consider even traveling with the three of us, because you're not going to get this experience anywhere else.
Right. I'd like to say that our connection on this trip is different. I mean, there is no trip, and there are lots of wonderful people who we all know. I mean, we know the people of African descent that are doing these tours. I don't think there's anyone that does it that we don't know personally. But respectfully, the trip that we are able to offer is very different than all of those other trips. And I'm really excited about us being able to continue to offer it. It comes from a completely different direction. And if you experience it from that level, there's just no way that it isn't a life-altering endeavor. And so we think that that's wonderful. So being able to do some things in the United States is powerful too, right? To be able to actually to talk about these issues in great detail. How do you get a chance to do more than that? It really is powerful. It really is powerful.
And I see people are asking how they can get tickets for this weekend coming up. So I believe it's KemeticYogaSkills.com.
Yes, that's the website. And on the home page, they scroll down to towards the lower part of the home page, and they'll see the link there with you and Jabari's photo. They can just click there and they can register and make their payment. And so that's this Saturday. The studio is called Yoga Skills, Kemetic Yoga Studio, 4507 South Indiana Avenue, 6065, Chicago, Illinois, 60653. And I know people from another, I think they're coming from St. Louis, I think. So it's people coming from far and wide. It's some other people from Tennessee who should be coming, and people are coming in, for these events. And so, but we know there's a lot of people in Chicago that need to come, and that would really greatly benefit. So we expect to have a big crowd there, and I'm really happy this is happening, because this, we opened up this studio at the end of December 31st. And what's significant about it is that it's not just a Kemetic yoga studio. We have Kemetic yoga classes, we have Kemetic yoga teacher training, but we also have lectures. We also have workshops. We just had a live food workshop this past weekend with Master Chef Earl King. We also have classes in African dance and drumming. We have classes in tumbling and what I call acrobatics, right? So teaching acrobatics and tumbling to young people from an African perspective. We have classes in capoeira, the Brazilian African martial art. We have classes in African belly dance, even though she does, the teacher Kalita College, she doesn't like me to use the word belly dance, but it's like belly dance, but it's really an African, an ancient Kemetic form of dance, you know. So we have a lot of different events there. We've been to studio out to different groups, and we're having, you know, we even have different organizations come in, and we provide programming for them, as we're going to be doing for the African Genesis group, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna, I haven't told you, but I've had several other groups of people who want to do programs at our studio, you know, where we have lectures. You know, we're going to provide lecture, food, a tour of the areas, going to some of the different museums and stuff. You know, we're doing a lot of different things, and it's really growing.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
As I say, that's the best thing about Black businesses. You know, there's so much potential. There's so much that we can do for our own, so that we don't always have to go out, you know, into other areas and give all the money there. We need to try to keep it home.
Yeah, and I haven't been traveling that much since I opened the studio, but now I've been invited to come to Buffalo because of the incident that they have there, and I'm going to be presenting some workshops and lectures on trauma, you know, using yoga and meditation and stress management to overcome trauma and stuff. So I'll be going to Buffalo, New York, in about a week from now, you know.
Wow. So one of the things that I want to be able to do as we talk about the topics that we're covering is I want us to think about exactly what Africans have given to the world. And as we do that, let me try to show you some images. Can I show you one image at least? Let me show you one image. Sometimes when we think of doctors or people in healthcare, we actually don't think about people of African descent. And especially when we think about those people who gave medicine to the world, we don't tend to think of people of African descent. And I'm not blaming us for doing that. This is part of the socialization that we've received against ourselves. But I want to show you a picture of the world's first recorded dentist. Can I do that? Because I don't think most people are familiar with the name or the image of the world's first recorded dentist. If you do know who I'm referring to, family, why don't you put his name in the chat? What is the name of the world's first recorded dentist? What is the name of the world's first recorded dentist? We should have African Jeopardy music, right? Right? Yes, it could. It could. I see Callie Hercules saying that it might be Imhotep. So did Rogue Brown. Imhotep, huh? Folks are thinking that this might be Imhotep. Can I say to you that Imhotep is a contemporary of this person? There's this Sonnet Newt also saying Imhotep. Is that the right answer? Let's see. I'm going to show you now an image of the world's first recorded dentist. Take a look. This is Hesi Ra. This is Hesi Ra. This is one of the slides from my presentation. Someone said Hesi Ra? Oh, someone got Hesi Ra. This is Hesi Ra. And he lived somewhere around 2686. We're saying that he was a dentist virtually 5,000 years ago. And I love this image. It is on a wooden door that's in the Cairo Museum. I love this image, but you got to get really close to get a sense of what I'm really looking at. Now, if we're not talking about a brother, Yasir, I don't know what a brother is. My father had that afro back in the 70s.
Who didn't have that afro?
I mean, yeah, you had that too one day.
But I mean, look at his features. Look at his nose. Look at his lips. We also know that he was a learned man. That thing that's over his arm is the palette of a scribe, which means that he was literate at a time when less than 5% of the nation was literate. And I know that some of you are saying, wow, less than 5% of Kemet was literate. Well, most of the world was illiterate. This is at a time when writing was new. So Kemet stood out in this instance because it had this cadre, this class of literate people. So that is the image. When we see Hesi-Ra and others who you'll see at this lecture, you're going to truly be able to put what it means to be an African in context. To be an African doesn't mean that all you can do is dribble a ball. And trust me, when we dribble balls, we do it with excellence. Mm-hmm. But you have to understand that to be an African means that you gave the world its most important endeavors. This lecture will help you understand that. And so I'm going to really look forward to sharing that kind of information in this lecture that is going to be multimedia. It's not going to, you're not going to just see this bald-headed Black man talking to you the whole time. You're going to see the images, see the sounds. You're going to get a sense of how we peopled the world and how we civilized the world. And so I'm hoping that you'll join us for this lecture.
That's right. In our studio, we have large, big, gigantic screen TV that we're going to use. In addition, if we need to, we have an overflow of people. We also have LCD projector that we can use on the wall. So we have a lot of equipment. We've invested a lot of resources into making sure that we have all the things that we need to have a really great place to do presentations, from workshops and lectures to yoga and so on and so forth. And but you know, just looking at the image of Hesi-Ra, which I've seen many times in the Cairo Museum, this is from the earth. That image is from the old kingdom, right? Yeah. So that means that this is from one of the first 3 dynasties of ancient Kemet. So this is the earliest period of ancient Kemet. And when you look at the people, they are not only brown skinned, they are Black. They got nappy hair. And so when you see an image like this and you understand the significance of it, it really allows you to get the idea that it was exactly us, African people, Black people, not some kind of variation or some type of whatever people be trying to say. It was us.
That's right.
And we get this pushback from these other folks talking about these people came from the Mediterranean, or they came from the white part of the world and all that kind of stuff. And that's something I hope we can get into too, because when we're talking about reconstructing African consciousness and reconstructing the African man, we got to go into a little bit about how Europeans, how the system of racism, white supremacy has intentionally distorted our history for the purpose of making us less aware or unaware, so that they can further they can have a better ability to oppress us,
Right.
And when we get to the Oriental Institute, I hope we can talk about the motif that's on the wall. When you first go in, it is so racist and white supremacist, and it's right over the wall. It's right over the entranceway to the Oriental Institute. And so it's a lot of history that we need to get into. We can even write books about all of this stuff, There it is. There it is.
You know we were going to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
You know that we have to talk about this. And we're not going to give you all of the information about it. But Yasir and I have been talking about this for years. Now, Yasir is in Chicago, so he's seen it many more times than I have. But as you look at this TMPanum, is what it's called. As you look at this TMPanum, you should understand exactly what Western society is trying to say about your place within it, African. And on one hand, we have to recognize that it is the European that is arguing that all of the mechanisms of modern society come from, as they would call it, the East. You're going to see images that obviously represent ancient Kemet. You're going to see images that represent the Syrians. You're going to see images, Kemet is mostly represented, you should see here. And I think that that is fascinating, but then you see those people who are the perpetrators of Western society, of Greco-Roman society. And in this image, you're seeing that the Kemetic individual is handing the baton to them. Is that how you feel about your role in modern society? That you've handed the baton to the Tamhu, to the European? And look at how friendly this image is. It's interesting to me that those from the East are saying, it's your turn now. It's interesting that there are no symbols, no representations of enslaved people, no representation of the destruction of Kemetic temples and Kemetic places of learning, no representation of colonialism of Africa, no representation of the Crusades and the destruction of even the great thinkers and the great societies of Islam. Instead, we see people from the East saying, it's your turn now, European, your turn now. This is racist propaganda, you see.
And the people from the East is some white folks.
Yes.
They're not even showing an African giving this. They showing another white man giving it to a different white man.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And it's a lot of symbolism there. You look at the two animals, and you look at the lion on the left, and then you got a buffalo on the right. You know, the buffalo representing America.
That's right.
You know, the same buffalo that they killed in order to starve out the native people and decimated their population. You know, and look at all the people behind, in the back of the buffalo. It's just a whole lot of stuff. But we're gonna break all of that down when we get to that museum. So y'all got to come to the museum so we can break it down. We can go through each one of those images and we can say exactly what they mean, what the symbolism behind them are. You know,
and I think that this is a polite way to describe conquest. Notice that the Easterner, who, yes, as you have said, is depicted as someone who is of European phenotype, I'd say a Tamhu, someone we might call white. But as you look, they're standing flat on the ground, but the Westerner is standing on what it seems to be are the stones of fallen civilization. Do you notice that even the pillar in the background is fallen? What do these glyphs say? We're not going to tell you what they say right now. What do those glyphs say? What are they arguing about the nature of Western civilization? This is the TMPanum right above the archway, the entry archway for the Oriental Institute.
And look what the guy on the right has in his hand. What he's basically has received from the from the supposed Easterner.
Right.
He has a panel that has Medu Netch on it that has symbols, and it's almost like it's a remnant, like the way that they go to Kemet now, and they take the remnants. They remove parts of walls, they remove parts of symbols and parts of images, and then they put them in the museum.
Yes. And I'm looking at Anika and telling her not to do it because I know what that says.
Yeah.
Anika could translate that in her sleep. So, it's the first time she's seen it. She just translated. I just said, don't tell them.
Yeah. We're gonna hold on to that so people can come and see it in person.
You have to come to the museum, and you're not going to just come to the museum so you can be upset about some of the images that are there. You also need to come to the museum because the most important Kemetic artifact is there. Not
That's right.
Not in Europe, not in where you should expect it in Africa. That is not there. What you are going to be able to see is what is called the Kustal incense burner.
So you saying too much now.
Incense burner. Now, let me say this. I'm telling you, but you got to see it. You have to
You gotta come and see it. Okay.
You have to come and see it. We're not going to tell you why it's so important, what its deeper meaning is, but I'm telling you that you have to come see this artifact. The journey to just see this artifact is worth it.
And this artifact proves that ancient Kemetic civilization emerged out of Africa.
Yes.
And this artifact predates ancient Kemetic dynastic period.
Now, wait, you'll say it more. You'll say it more. Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I can't help it.
You need to, because it's exciting, right? I mean, I know that when you see this family, you're going to want to be able to take your images. You're going to want to bring your family. You're going to be able to talk to people about what you're seeing. I'm telling you that you must come for this amazing Reconstructing the African Mind series.
There's also a question in the chat about your trip to Buffalo. We have a lot of Buffalo family members in the chat right now who want to see you, and they're asking where are you going to be so they can meet you.
You know, I don't know the details right now because I was just contacted like right before this call. And so the person who's putting this on is going to contact me maybe tomorrow so that we can book everything. But I will let you know because I got people, we got Kemetic yoga people in Buffalo, and I think I even have relatives there who I've never met, So, but I will pass on the information to Jabari and Anika, and then they can post it or put it someplace where everybody in this group will be able to find it.
Yes. So at this point, folks, let's see if you have questions. Make sure that you type your questions in, and we'll answer a few questions before we close for the evening. Are there some things that you would like for us to respond to so that we're able to really prepare you for this exciting lecture series and museum tour? I see one question. I don't know what the question refers to. Who are the green people that Sister Renee saw in the Cairo Museum? I'm not sure who you're referring to.
There are blue Ushabti, if that's what you're referring to, the statues that tend to be buried with the king who has passed away. And those Ushabti were supposed to be the answerers. Those were the servants that were supposed to, mythologically come to life in the afterworld to continue to serve the king that had passed. So a lot of them were bluish statues. I'm not sure if that's what you were referring to.
Oh, she said, I'm sorry, blue.
Yeah.
Maybe she is talking about the Ushabti.
They're called Ushabti, the answerer.
Right. Or Shabti sometimes. Sometimes people take away the U part of it.
Yeah, there's a story that people would always say, when the king died, he would kill all of his servants and they were all buried with him. Like his staff would just kill all the servants and bury them in the tomb with the king, which was not, that was just a tall tale that people would spread throughout history. And it really was just a statue of what would be a representation of those servants that would continue to work on into the afterlife. So
here's an image of some of the ones
some of them are
that
green,
are here.
you can see.
Sure, you'll see different colors. Definitely there are different colors that are present. And as you look at them, you'll see that these are the answerers. These are those individuals that were expected symbolically to do the work of the deceased in the afterlife, symbolically.
And sometimes you see images of Asar colored green, but his skin is green. A lot of times the Neteru, or what, what they call deities, they have different skin tone, they have different skin color.
Right.
And the green represents like the resurrection and the cycles of nature that we see with plants, with plants and stuff. And so Asar was associated with that.
Definitely, you would see Asar and his green face very often as well. That's another thing that's very common.
Yeah, CT's brought that up in the chat.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
As well as jet black.
Yes. Yes. One of his titles was the Lord of the Perfect Black.
Yes.
So that's one of the reasons why. This is particularly from the tomb of Nefertari. Actually, you see this beautiful image of Asar with his Heka and Heka, and it is magnificent. So you will see Asar with the green face as well. So that could be what you were referring to as well. I see some.
Yeah, people who have not had the opportunity to really be with Jabari Osaze and Anika Osaze in person and listen to what they have to offer, and to see the images that they have that they'll be showing you that are authentic. These are not images that they took off of YouTube, or they took off of something off of through Google Images. These are pictures that they've taken themselves in Kemet, with their own cameras, and they're showing you things that they are able to read, they're able to translate, and they're able to break down in a lot of detail what these images that you're looking at, what they mean, and what the significance of them are, and to demystify them and to deconstruct all of the mythology and all of the lies that we've been told about them from both a racial perspective and from a religious perspective, right? Because we have been told that our religion that we had prior to enslavement is witchcraft, that is evil, that is comporting with the devil.
Yeah.
So to know these things is part of how we reconstruct our consciousness. Many of us think that, we call ourselves conscious, we call ourselves awoke, but we really need to go deep into detail to really eradicate all of that training and all of that brainwashing, all of our consciousness that's still there.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a question by MF Dreadson that says, is that a misunderstanding on the part of Mesoamericans? He's talking about the use of the Shabti or Ushabti in the Kemetic sense, where individuals, real human beings, weren't killed and buried with with royalty, but that actually did occur in Mesoamerica. And I'll have to say to you, I don't think that there's proof of that at this point. We do know that in certain periods of time in other parts of the world, we see this, but to be able to make a one-to-one, there's some communication and some confusion. I don't think that we have enough information yet. The reality is that there's much more study that needs to be done and much more that can be known. Perhaps that's part of the work that you must do.
I see I'm sorry. The question about other colors that are represented, as if what does red represent Ra? Red or orange could represent Ra, the sun, the energy. But the color red also tends to signify the image of warriorship. When we think of Herukuhuti, the colors that we would think around him would be red and white, and that would be the symbol or the energy that you're looking for when you're about to go into battle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of interesting comments here. We even see, this is from Sentiudi Forever. How did the lands of Cush and Punt become biblical characters? Very interesting. I think that when we look at the biblical narrative, we're going to see that, and this might offend someone, I'm going to try to keep it as straight as I possibly can, and no offense is meant, but most of the biblical narrative is a mythological narrative. But mythological narratives often have elements of truth that are placed in the story. That's one of the ways that we're able to situate a story within a particular place and time, within and understanding that people currently have. And so that's one of the reasons that we actually see that. And we should recognize that it is a historical fact that one of the Nubian or Cushitic kings came to the aid of folks in Jerusalem. We believe that that is a historical story. And so that is placed in there as well. But many of the stories are actually mythological stories. And so we see Cush, we see Punt. They're trying to tell a story within and add some aspects of historicity in it, so that it has a certain way for us to understand the narrative. And so that's what we actually see.
Yeah, and if you really want to know the reality of our story, if you go to Kemet with people like Jabari and Anika, you can see the images of Punt. You go to the temple of Hatshepsut,
yes,
and you see the whole story of Punt right there on the walls graphically. You know, if you want to know about the resurrection, you know, it's graphically on the walls at the temple of Dendera and other temples. You know, you want to know about the virgin birth. All of that stuff is pictured right there on the walls of the temples. And that's what, and again, this is part of the reconstruction of our consciousness.
I love this question that was just put up on the screen. Can you tell us how people in ancient Kemet would take care of their hair? So everything that we do now, we were doing back then. They had weaves, they had afros, they had extensions. If you travel with us to Kemet, when we go to the Cairo Museum, the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, there's actually the hair room, and it has samples of the hair that they found off of the sahufied or mummified bodies. And they'll show you where the extensions were added to the hair and weaves. Now, the difference back then is that we were weaving our own hair back into our head, not somebody else's hair into our head. You know, we didn't have somebody else's straight hair attached to our hair, or somebody else's blonde hair attached to our black hair. You know, this was black hair being attached to black hair. But, you know, they would use these wonderful perfume combs to help with the scent and to help oil their skin and their hair. So they would put the cone on their head. It was kind of like putting a cone of shea butter and walking out into the sun and letting it melt into your scalp and all down your skin. And that's how they would have that radiant, beautiful skin and shiny black hair, or shiny hair, whatever color it was at the time. And they have images of the hairdressers on some of the women's and the queen's temples. If you see Mentuhotep II, his wife has an image on her tomb of her and her hairdresser actually giving her a weave. So, you know, it's really interesting that we still have what's important to us put on the temple walls, carved and etched in stone. So just like women love to get their hair done now, and it's an important relationship that we have with our hairdresser, where you talk about things with her that you probably wouldn't talk to anyone else about, and get into some of those, you know, private, intimate details with them. You would see the same thing on the temple walls. And Jabari is about to post one right now. There it is.
Here's one of them.
Yeah.
There's several of them. And the hairdressers were so important that she describes them in her tomb. She cites their names in her tomb. So this is an important relationship. It's a really important relationship.
Yeah.
And this guy, she chilling, having a cool, refreshing drink while she get her hair done. You know, it's the same thing we be doing now. You know.
And they ain't put no Yaqui hair or Dominican hair up in
there.
Oh.
Oh boy, she went there.
I'm sorry, I had to.
But we do see hairdressing as an important part of this narrative, and
yes.
I think that is really fascinating to me. I hope that you all find it fascinating enough that you'll journey to these places to see some of these images, because our ancestors left them behind. They really did. Okay.
Yeah, grooming was grooming was and is extremely important all over Africa.
Yeah.
And we do the same things now that we used to do, including getting our hair shaved too and getting bald head. You know, all of that is part of our tradition. You know, and so I also encourage people, you know, come to our event this weekend. Also come and travel to Kemet with us. We go August, you know, we leave August 1st. We go to Kemet. And then for those who also want to go to Ghana, we also go to Ghana between August 1st and August 18th. And then I lead another group again to Kemet and to Ghana in November for those who want to become certified as Kemetic yoga instructors. So, so you have so many opportunities to make it over to the continent and, you know, to learn the lessons of who we really are from experts and to have that experience, you know. And the Kemetic yoga. Also, when we go to the Oriental Institute, there's some other images. I don't think I've had the chance to discuss them with Jabari before, but there's some other images that they have all over the wall, all over the rest of the wall. I don't think we discussed them, but we're going to get into a lot of things when we get to that museum.
Well, folks, we have to say that we've enjoyed talking with you. Don't miss this event. Don't miss the event. It's going to be as engaging and as edifying as a weekend that you spend can be. We are going to be offering the lectures via streaming, but make sure that you come in person so we can meet and talk, and you can actually purchase books and really get a chance to see, if you haven't seen it yet, the Yoga Skills Studio in Bronzeville. It's really, it's becoming one of the important destinations in Chicago. You want to get there, right? So please make sure that you are part of this important weekend so that you are able to learn, share the information with our people, and have a lot of fun doing it too. So make sure you go to KemeticYogaSkills.com. I'm going to put the link back up on the screen so that you'll be able to click straight into it. Please make sure that you are going to be with us. You'll see it in the chat. That's the link as well. And I'm really excited to be able to offer this with our dear brother, Yasir Hotep, who is one of the most important people in the world to us. So we're going to have a lot of fun, and I think you will too.
So thank you so much. Looking forward to meeting all of you.
All right, family. Can we say Shema Ma'at? Go forth in divine balance. We will see you this weekend. Peace.
Hotep.